just as we speculated and assumed, we did get the official second and I believe final trailer for WandaVision at the Disney Investor Day. And man, it was a crazy trailer. It was the first thing that kind of kicked off the Marvel section of this Disney Investor Day, and it was absolutely insane. Like, this thing was crazy. So of course this is our trailer breakdown. Because so much happens and you're like, I wasn't expecting this much new footage, but we got a lot here. And before I jump into the full-on breakdown, I would like to mention the music in this trailer was really, really good. This song was kind of like a wacky, whacked out, messed up version of Daydream Believer by Davy Jones and the Monkees. I actually really love that song. So it was cool seeing it here in this trailer. So hopefully it's in the actual series. I really like that song. But yeah, anyway, let's go ahead and actually get into this and break down the trailer. So we open up on the, nice little house that Wanda and Vision are living in, I believe it's called Westview. In this sitcom reality, there's Westview and Eastview. Those are the two different towns. I'm not completely sure which one they're living in, but it's one of those two. So we get a nice interaction here between Agnes and Wanda. Of course, Agnes is just the unsuspecting, friendly neighbor. But what they don't know is that she's actually a witch. She's actually Agatha Harkness and all that good stuff. So there's Wanda looking pretty cool. And then she uses her magic to put a ring on each of their fingers. Because, she got magic powers. There's an awesome shot of Vision. I believe this was the first shot that we actually saw from WandaVision in the big game TV spot from the Super Bowl back in February. So really cool to see that again. And then we get some more action of Wanda using her powers in a very Bewitched kind of style here, with her making things float around and stuff. And, with the CGI we have today, they could make this look totally more realistic, but I love how they make it look so fake, because that's how it looked back in the day in these like 50s sitcoms and stuff. So that's a nice touch there. There's a zoomed in version of it as well. Then this is a really interesting part, because there's some more magic happening here, but it doesn't look like Wanda is in control. So first of all, it's a shot of Wanda and Vision. They're sleeping in their beds. Now, you may be wondering, if they're a couple, why aren't they in the same bed? Well, that was kind of a thing back in the day in these sitcoms, that whenever you would see two adults, even if they're a couple, even if they're like parents or anything, you would see them sleeping in separate twin beds. Like, they would never show that on TV back then. So that's really nice attention to detail here. But all of a sudden, the two beds slam together and become one. And then they're both just like, what is happening here? And that's kind of like the vibe of the whole trailer. What is happening? And I feel that's going to be the big question for the whole series, or season, depends on if it gets a second season. And then even more things start changing. Like, they all of a sudden go from black and white to color, and I assume this is probably them changing to a different decade. Like, maybe this is at like the end of the first episode or something, or at the end of one of the episodes. Like, all of a sudden they start changing colors, and then they change decades, and that could be a cliffhanger leading into the next episode that would release the next week. So that would be really cool. And she's like, we don't really know what to expect. And yeah, you really don't, because things are going down. Then again, she's using her magic powers. She's vacuuming with an old classic style vacuum. Look, no hands, I'm vacuuming. So that's cool. And then, as you can see here, now she's pregnant. So they're like touching the baby, even though the baby isn't there. That's kind of just a thing you do. Feel the baby kicking around and stuff. So that's cool. Then we get a shot of Agnes. This is from a different decade. I'm not completely sure what decade this is. It's definitely not the 50s, probably not the 60s. I'm going to assume maybe 80s or 90s. But this shot right here actually reminds me of the Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch, how she was always riding around on her bike before Dorothy actually went into the whole dream thing going on there. So that's what this reminds me of here, and because they're both witches, so that's kind of cool. And then we get a shot of the other neighbor, got that cool afro going on, afro classic. So actually maybe this is 70s, because afros were a big thing in the 70s. So I don't know, I wasn't alive back then, so who knows. And then speaking of afros, here's another afro on good old Monica Rambeau, who is now aged up from when we last saw her in Captain Marvel. And as we can see, she shows up at the door, and Wanda's like, "Who are you?" And then Monica's like, I don't know. So clearly something has gone wrong. Like the code in this fabricated reality has been messed up, and now they're starting to forget their memories and everything. And like I said, I assume this will probably be like when it's about to reset. It's like they're all of a sudden starting to figure things out, and then all of a sudden it resets to a new time period, and then they all forget everything they just learned. So I feel like that's what's going to be going on here. And we also saw in the first trailer that this version of Monica actually got like slingshotted into the real world, to the Sword HQ. So that's going to be really interesting to see. Then we get an awesome shot of Vision. I love this shot, in full color and everything. Vision's one of my favorite characters, so it's just cool seeing him here. Then confirmation once again that we will be seeing some Halloween stuff taking place in this series as well. Then this is where things get interesting, because this looks like it's either the 50s or the 60s, and there's this old style radio. And then there's a voice coming through it that's talking to Wanda and saying like, "Wanda, can you hear me?" And I think that this is like the guy in charge of Sword, or at least the guy we saw in the first trailer that kind of ran out to Monica's body first. So clearly they see that something's going on. I assume that something having to do with the sitcom reality is affecting the real world. So Sword is trying to figure out what's going on and everything, and they're trying to contact her. And that's when she has another one of those moments, like, something is wrong. What is happening here? Who is talking to me through this magic radio? And then this part. This is probably the most puzzling, mysterious parts of the trailer. Because this is when they're talking about something is wrong. Who is doing this to you? Yeah, that's another thing that the guy through the radio says. Who is doing this to you? So we know that somebody is manipulating her. Maybe it's Agatha Harkness. Maybe it's Mephisto. Or maybe it's this beekeeper. But the question is, who is this beekeeper? Because we know that this scene, based off of the surroundings and the colors and everything, it looks like this takes place on Halloween, where we saw Vision and Wanda in their Halloween costumes, which are their classic comic looks. So this is probably just a Halloween costume as a beekeeper. But who is underneath the suit? Is that the main villain? It doesn't look like it's Agnes or Agatha Harkness. It could be Mephisto, maybe, in like human form or something. Maybe played by Evan Peters. So I don't know, but guys, definitely let me know down in the comments below. Who do you think this mysterious beekeeper is? Because I'd be really interested to see who you think it is. Now moving on, we get another one of those puzzled, confused looks from Wanda. We get a lot of that in this trailer, like, what is going on? And then we get a puzzled look from Agatha, or Agnes. Don't really know what to call her, because in the show they're calling her Agnes, but whatever. This looks like it's 70s maybe, or 60s, or 80s. It's so hard to tell these different time periods apart. Like I said, I wasn't there for these times, so I don't really know, but she'd be looking pretty cool. And then we get a shot of what I believe is the 60s time period, where Vision is wearing like this magic top hat, like this magician's hat. And we've seen a few teasers of this the past couple weeks. There were some leaked Funko figural keyring things that confirmed that there will be some sort of magic show part with Wanda and Vision as like magicians. And then also one of the new official posters released by Marvel Studios teased that as well. Then you see they're having fun together. They're on the swing, just having a grand old time. But then boom, all of a sudden all these military trucks coming through. Wanda is like, this is our home, and then Vision's like, all right, then let's protect it. So clearly, I'm assuming this is towards the end of the series where they're like finally realizing stuff is happening, and she flies away, so that's pretty cool. We get our first look at Randall Park as Jimmy Woo, reprising his role from Ant-Man and the Wasp. It looks like maybe he's working with S.W.O.R.D. as well. Then there's also our first look at Kat Dennings returning as Darcy Lewis. Really excited to see her return, because the last time we saw her was Thor: The Dark World, so that was a long time ago. Then another huge part in this trailer is the Mind Stone. We see the Mind Stone here, and then Wanda looks at it, and then she looks so mesmerized, and it looks like she like grabs it and it like explodes and sends her back. Now, I'm going to take a guess and say that this is probably in the first episode before they even do the whole sitcom reality thing. Maybe she's just having nightmares, she's having trouble sleeping, and she's having nightmares. Like, the kind of the way I envision it is she's having nightmares, she sees this, but then when it explodes, she wakes up, and she's just having all these dreams because she can't get over the loss of vision, and then maybe one night she just turns on the TV, she watches some old sitcoms, then all of a sudden she's in that sitcom reality. So that's what I think will happen there. And then we get these final shots here with Wanda and Vision. They're holding hands, because if they're going to make it through this, they're going to make it through this together. Unless they don't, because, you know, Vision, who knows what's going to happen with him, because he was dead, so he may still be dead after this, which I'm hoping not, because he's one of my favorite characters, so I really don't want to see him go. But we will see what happens January 15th. Of course, I will be doing weekly episode breakdowns of every episode to break down every detail and kind of review it and everything as well. So guys, a lot was revealed in this trailer, but you gotta let me know down in the comments below all your theories based off this trailer and what you think will happen in this series. So thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so I can keep up to